And we're back.
We're back.
It's been a while.
That was a little
but
glimpse into 2017 right there.
Yeah.
Draft night. The pick was, what was it? Was it 2 or 3?
We were at 3. We moved up to 2. That was
Obviously.
a great, great move. So, yes, Trubisky and
Class back, dude.
yeah.
I had it right. I had it pegged.
Welcome back to Turn Up Bear Down. It's Scott Blakely here, and with Matt Jansen, the coach of the Lafayette Fighting Irish.
That's right.
So it's been a while since we got to talk about the Bears, but the last time we really got talking, we were hoping for an upset in a playoff game, but ultimately we knew that was just not going to happen because the Saints have really had our number. We were the Nickelodeon Game of the Week, and Mitchell Trubisky won the first ever MVP. Barstool Sports made a shirt, and I actually ended up buying it because I thought it was too funny. So I have a Mitch for MVP shirt now that he is no longer with the Bears.
Summary of our season, I think, last year, that game, just the missed opportunities, the missed touchdown by, what was it, Wims?
Yeah.
Drop ball, we dropped some interceptions. Jimmy Graham running off the field at the end of the game, into the sunset. I mean, it was defense looking old and beaten up. Trubisky, looking lost. I mean, it was, like I said, were we that surprised? No. I mean, we were hoping for some sort of upset or for some sort of, absolute Hail Mary. But, like I said, I think we knew what was going to happen going into that. And we are looking ahead to 2021 NFL draft that's about to happen here in Believe Land.
Yeah. For sure. I'm excited because there are so many times as a fan when you can be optimistic about your team going forward, and the draft is definitely one of those times. Usually free agency as well, but we got Andy Dalton, so I don't know that we're still feeling super optimistic about that.
We're sad, dude.
But,
we're sad.
Yeah, I mean, his nickname is the Red Rifle, so we got a Red Rifle at quarterback, and I think we're probably going to go places. Probably on a.
I'm sorry. I feel like in the moment here, it needs to get changed from the Red Rifle to the Orange Offspring, I think.
All right, so you got any Bears trivia? I pulled up this slide because and you already kind of showed your Trubisky reaction, but here we have look at that at the bottom there. It says 2016. He was third team All ACC selection. Nothing better than a third teamer that you're drafting as your quarterback of the future. White, Trubisky, both on here. Those guys are major busts. However, Montgomery and Mooney have definitely worked out, and that's kind of where the future's headed. So, you got any good trivia from a Bears draft?
I mean, I don't. I mean, let's give Pace some credit. He has done I would say an elite job of drafting defensive players, especially in the latter rounds, right? Your rounds 4, 5, and 6 and beyond. We can probably rattle some off right now. Just think the fourth rounders alone: Eddie Jackson, Bilal Nichols in the 5th. We got Jalen Johnson, second round pick, but Tariq Cohen came in the 4th round. Like the guy does better in the later rounds. First round maybe gets a little tight, a little tense. He's not. I just from the draft classes, he's not super strong as far as his offensive pedigree and what to look for and which guys to hit on. So
I'm going to go ahead and say that he actually doesn't have complete control, and that somebody else is telling him who to pick. Let's just in the first couple of rounds.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, I really wonder how much Nagy's influence is over the last couple of drafts, don't you? Wouldn't you like to actually see what? I know they put their heads together, but when it comes down to it, Pace is making the decision. Yeah. I think. I could be wrong. I guess I don't really know.
Maybe they shouldn't be putting their heads together. Maybe that's part of the problem in the first couple rounds.
So we need to get Dr. Draftfill in that draft room at some point, at least tomorrow.
Yeah, they should just hire him as the GM. He knows all the right answers.
Yeah.
He's never been wrong a day in his life, so but
I'll
So
love after draft, Phil. I'll love.
here would be my question for you, and it would be your own trivia. Who's the first player you remember the Bears drafting?
Hmm. Um, let's see. That's a good question. It would be probably one of the 60,000 quarterbacks that we've taken that have been tremendous. I would say probably like a Cade McNown.
Oh, dude, I'm gonna be honest with you. That was my first Bears jersey. I had a
Oh,
number 8 Cade McNown jersey.
poor guy.
I thought I had it all figured out. Little did I know that number 8 is a bad number for Bears players. So
Actually, you know what? I take that back. I think for me it was Curtis Conway. I think actually, because
yeah,
didn't we take him first round out of USC, right?
yeah, I think that's right. I think I was like 1 year old when that happened. So
I'm a little older than you.
yeah,
I got some more tread on my tires. Curtis
yeah.
Conway, I guess, or Cade. Neither guy worked out.
I would say, gosh, 2000, 2001, 02, 03, somewhere in there would be like the first ones I really remember. But we didn't have cable growing up, so I didn't really watch the draft. My dad and I would listen to it on.
Yep.
We would listen to it like on the radio on the internet, like way back then. And I remember the Bears drafted a guy named Mark Colombo. I think that might have been the first guy I remember us
Mark
drafting.
Colombo, yeah, offensive lineman, right? Colombo, you said,
Yeah,
right?
I don't think he worked out for us because
Good
he
Lord.
didn't play for the Bears very long.
He
But
did with Dallas. He did all right, I think, with Dallas. What draft was that when Eli and Ben like switched positions? That's for me one of the one of the more memorable drafts for me where I just remember that was such a weird situation. Or was it Rivers? Wasn't Rivers, was it?
it
Yeah, it was
was it
Rivers
was,
and Eli, wasn't it?
but Big Ben was in that draft as well.
He was. He just went a little bit later.
I want to say that was like 02 maybe.
Raj, dude, where's Raj at?
Oh man, I don't know.
That is a Raj question for sure. He's on spring break still.
Yeah.
By the way, viewers, he'll be back probably a couple weeks before the season, getting everything ready, get everything upgraded, and obviously stat checking. So
Yeah, what
we're here blind without him, but we'll be back with him. So
Oh, that was the 2004 draft. Dang, that
four,
was
yeah.
pretty late. So just a year after the no, it would have been a couple years after the Rex Grossman trade.
Mm.
Because who doesn't want to trade back into the first round to draft Rex Grossman?
Dude, the guy was an absolute calf monster. Because didn't we take Cedric Benson and then trade back in for Grossman, right? At like 22 or something.
No, we took Michael Haynes, I think.
Oh, that's right. No, that's a different draft class. You're right. It
He
was Michael
wasn't
Haynes.
any good either. But we took Benson, I think, in 04,
Okay.
the very next year. And
Okay.
Benson didn't work out very well for us either. So,
Mm.
all right. Hey, that's some good trivia, especially for those of you out there that don't know anything about Bears drafts. I mean, really, this
A lot
picture
of fond memories, as it sounded like, huh?
this right here pretty much summarizes Bears drafts, in all honesty. So let's talk about our needs and kind of just what's been going on this postseason. I guess it was after the season too, but since our 8-8 finish and our loss in the playoffs because that 7 team gets to make it. Here's our needs and here's what we've done. So obviously Trubisky's gone. Somehow Nick Foles is still on the team. I don't know why. But Andy Dalton is going to be the guy this year, it's sounding like. And what do you think of that?
I mean, looking long term, I think if you're looking at GM, you're looking at head coach. I think it's maybe this is a 1 year thing with Pace again and Nagy and Dalton, and it's just kind of a thing where they didn't want to put too much investment into it. Honestly, I think probably the writing's on the wall when you bring in Andy Dalton. I'm not really drinking the orange Kool-Aid exactly right now. I probably never will, but I was extremely disappointed when they signed Andy Dalton. I thought there were different options. I would have took just earlier in free agency. There was probably a handful of guys I would have taken, or I would have just been more content with trying to put ourselves in a situation where we're in there and that with the top 3-4 quarterbacks up there. I know you're really big Justin Fields guy. So am I. Just looking at the odds on him, that was weird. I saw that Mac Jones is supposed to go ahead of him now. It was something like Mac Jones at minus 115, and you got my man Justin Fields at plus 110. Don't quote me on that, but all of a sudden Mac Jones is rising up the board and Justin Fields is falling. And I know we're sitting here at 20 saying please, 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 but I would have just liked for us to have a little bit, Kyle Fuller leaves. I just think there were just a lot of pieces that still had very meaningful time ahead of them and good years, good productive years that we chose to let leave so we could sign a guy to 14 mil.
I think it's just 10
for Dawson.
It's just 10 for Dalton.
10. Yeah, well, it's 9. It's 9 too much. So, not pumped about it. Like I said, we'll talk about our drafts, but is it a different look? Yeah, but I think it's very much in the same category as Nick Foles. I know he can move a little bit more, but it's watching him in Dallas last year. Wasn't pretty. He really didn't do much when they needed him. So he's got experience. Again, at his maximum, I think we sneak into the playoffs again. But is that what we're gonna? Is that gonna help us moving forward? I don't know. So,
yeah, well, I think that people are gonna hate on Dalton, and we know he's not the long-term answer, but he's somebody to be our quarterback, which essentially that's what they're looking for, anyone who is not Trubisky, because obviously Trubisky and this coach and the GM do not get along, and I think that's the biggest thing. And I know it's gonna sound crazy, but honestly, I would have re-signed Trubisky, I think, for another year, and then maybe you draft a guy, because Trubisky signed with the Bills for 2.5 mil. Like, that would have been super cheap, an easy option. But I also don't think Trubisky really wanted to be in Chicago either. Like, he had a winning record. He made it to the playoffs twice. He was a Pro Bowler, and I know that the media loves to criticize him, and he has his shortfalls, but at the same time, he had all of those things going for him. And when Nagy was running the ball on offense and utilizing David Montgomery, like, this team was winning games with Trubisky at quarterback. So it is what it is. There's holes all over the place. And I think the biggest one is going to be offensive line. And if Andy Dalton's to make it through 4 or 5 games this year, they better figure that out, or else we're going to be having,
Nicholas again, St. Nick time.
Yeah. What was that guy from Pittsburgh a few years ago when they were down to like their 4th-string quarterback, Duck Hodges or something?
It was Josh Dobbs or Matt Moore, one of the two.
And they had like a guy named Duck Hodges who was playing quarterback. It's like making up comic book characters and sending them out there to play quarterback. Or like the Broncos last year when they had to have that wide receiver play quarterback. So, anyway, I think that's going to be a key focus. And I do like that we got Robinson back with the franchise tag, because I think he's one of the best players. We know he's one of the best players. The only thing is, like, wide receivers, they have lose a little production, and can we keep paying this guy like a high salary? And I think that's what the front office is afraid of with that. But I like that we have Mooney and Robinson. If we can get another one of these guys, I know you're pretty high on Rashad Bateman, but that could really make this a solid receiving core, especially when you throw in Cole Kmet, who I think had some flashes towards the second half of the season. Why he wasn't making more plays at the start of the season, I'll never understand.
He wasn't really in. He wasn't a focal point of their offense. I mean, at least in my evaluation. But we'll see. I mean, Dalton's got to learn a whole new offense. He's a veteran. Got to learn a whole new offense and on a new team. I don't know, with a new collection of characters you got to get the chemistry with, and then again, you're all on. You, the head coach, and the GM are all on a 1-year deal. That just seems like a lot of things that have to line up in order for you to get whatever you think you're going to get back. So I don't know. Not extremely high on it, but I'm hoping that we can at least solidify around the quarterback position at least, so that maybe we're in a better position to either acquire another veteran or just draft someone and develop them with that core, because we do actually surprisingly have a young core of pretty decent pieces around the quarterback position. So,
for sure. I honestly I want to see Anthony Miller traded though.
Miller's got to go. Go Javon Wims in there too. Like I said, actually check that. We need to just cut him, and just send him out. Make him check luggage at like O'Hare or something. It's part of his contract, and then just let him go. I mean, he's a joke. I'm sorry, man. Why Riley Ridley wasn't playing over him is beyond me. Riley Ridley must have done something or not performed in practice to not even get a shot. So
Yeah, I've liked Ridley. I've always been impressed with him. I don't know why he's not getting to play as much. I think it's because he's not as good of a fighter.
yeah, no, he doesn't.
So
Yeah,
anyway,
more of a slapper.
yeah. A lot of people who are casual Bears fans or don't know anything, they probably have no idea what we're talking about. But yeah, have Wims check bags at O'Hare. I'll fly in to go see a Bears game, and there'll be Wims checking some bags. He can't mess that one up. So let's move on to some targets in this draft. So obviously, there's going to be a lot of focus on quarterback. Two that we've kind of talked about and like, and a lot that I'm hearing that the Bears potentially like because we know we're not going to get Trevor Lawrence, Trey Lance, Zach Wilson. Those guys are going to come in the first 10 picks or so. And Fields could easily go then as well, but I like Fields. I watched him against Clemson, and I was really impressed when he was just getting hit so hard, but just kept battling, and they just dominated Clemson in that game. And I was really impressed with the way he plays. I like him. He's mobile. He could really do a lot with this offense. What do you think of Fields?
Yeah, I'm really shocked that he's dropped, or I've heard the buzz of him dropping. I don't know if that's just smokescreen or what.
Hey, do you know why?
Do I know why?
Yeah.
No.
Well, they mentioned that he has epilepsy apparently, and so I guess some people are afraid of what that could
Hmm.
do, but I don't know. I don't really
I mean,
feel
is
like
that confirmed? I mean, do we need to send Raji down to Ohio State and just check him out real quick?
that's what
Because
all
I
the
mean,
reporters were saying.
that's a pretty
So
serious. I mean, because that would hit that on a medical, right? That would hit that on a
yeah,
medical. You'd be able to tell. That's weird. I mean, I guess if that changes things a little bit. He's not as safe, but like, if he's got epilepsy? What's the difference? Like, why would he only fall from the top five, the back for the back part of the first round? Why would that not drastically change his draft stock? I don't know.
I don't know. There must be more into it too. Did you know that he was 6'3"?
Yeah,
I didn't know
yeah.
that.
I watched him on what was it, QB1? There was like a Netflix series, or maybe it was like
Oh,
a Fire series, but he
I
was on
haven't
that when he was
watched
in high
that.
school, and
That show
um,
looks awesome.
yeah, he's a baller then. He's a baller now. I liked how he handled himself. I liked he looked like he had a good family that raised him right. He's a hard worker, and
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, I guess that changes things. But obviously, for me, then if it's not him, it's going to be Kellen Mond from A&M. He's got an electric arm. Guy's got a short arm motion, or throwing motion, excuse me, which I like. Like that, I like that he can get the ball out quick. If you watch tape of him, you're going to see probably got the shortest throwing motion of any quarterback, which is good and bad. But I do like that he can get the ball, and I like that he can improvise as a playmaker when the play breaks down. I think sometimes previous quarterbacks, at least with the Bears, have not been stellar with that. So those are just some characteristics that I see with him that I'm extremely impressed with, and he's likely a second round pick, so we can go ahead and either go after the playmaker, you go after your tackle, your offensive lineman, or corner. I mean, maybe you can go best player available there, and knowing that you're going to try to get the quarterback in the second round, or even if you have to trade up a couple picks.
for sure. Well, I really like either of those guys. I think we're more likely to get Mond, um, just because, like, I don't know why Fields is dropping. Maybe the medical thing, but maybe other teams just don't think he fits their system. But if we get Fields, that would be a dream come true. Like, I would take that for sure.
For
If
sure.
if we get Mond, I would like that, but I would like it if we could, trade back in the first, like even further back, maybe get him then, get another pick that we can use for somebody else. But I like both of those guys. Is there any other quarterback that you're thinking, hey, that could be a guy that could fit the Bears?
No, Ian Book. He's a late guy. He's not going to be anything but a backup. The only other guys that I like that I think could be maybe quality backups. You don't draft for backups, so that's the problem. Like a Sam Ellinger, Ian Book. I think those guys can be the average, backups, but you don't really know. That's your fifth, sixth round. I don't like Kyle Trask. I hope we don't draft him. What is it, Davis Mills or someone, the dude from Stanford? I've heard a lot of buzz with the Bears. I hope, again, we don't draft him as well. I think he's a Daniel Jones comparison.
Yeah.
This is real top heavy. I mean, this could be potentially 4 game-changing quarterbacks in this draft class, maybe more. But after, your second, third round quarterbacks, I just don't see where there's enough where I don't think there's any Tom Brady's in this draft class. Let me just put it that way.
Here would be my dream scenario. Let's say we get Fields or even Mond, and these guys don't have to start maybe at all this season even. And they get to kind of just learn almost like a Mahomes and Alex Smith type thing. I would love that. And then they could be ready to go like next year instead of, having to put all the pressure on them this year because I just think that's a great environment that really helps Mahomes. But I also think that if we're to get any of these quarterbacks, we can't trade our entire future because we're going to need to have some linemen that can actually block for these guys. That's been a big problem for Bears quarterbacks since I can remember. We never have a good offensive line. I know these guys are a little more mobile, so that helps, but I still want to have somewhat of the lines, especially so that Montgomery can run the ball as well. So speaking of linemen, what of these offensive linemen? I got Darrisaw and Jenkins. You said you weren't that high on Darrisaw, and he's probably going to go. In most mock drafts, I've seen him going in the teens, so he probably won't reach the Bears anyway. But is there a lineman in the draft that you're really looking to?
Yeah, there were some red flags with Darrisaw in my evaluation of it, and Jenkins' arms are too short. So there you go. He's got 33-inch arms. He needs 34. That's the mark according to Jason Guthrie, who teaches English at Lafayette, and he knows his stuff. And the couple guys that I'm looking at later, we got where's his name? Right there. Brenda James from Nebraska. I got him going late. 6'7" guy. Nebraska's historically been pretty salty with offensive linemen. And then Walker Little from Stanford. Both of them. Actually, I'm sorry. Walker Little's 6'7" and Brenda James 6'5". I think it's unrealistic to think that we're going to be able to get like 2 bookend tackles in one draft. It's
for sure.
Pretty tough to do. So I think you take a stab there with 2 of them, and I think hopefully you can work out to where at least one is your starter, the other one's your swing, and you got Charles Leno this year. Just touching on the quarterbacks.
Yeah,
I think Mond is the guy that will sit back and be a study where I think Fields would push for more time right away.
Yeah.
And I would just worry that given the state of our head coach and our GM, they wouldn't be one to just sit back and say, no, we're going to roll with Dalton and we're going to keep developing. I think obviously they're playing for their jobs. And ultimately it's about winning. It's about how you win. So I think that I'm just worried that that they're going to screw up the development because they want to win and they're worried about themselves right now instead of the future of the franchise. So, but no, I mean, there's a couple slam dunks up in the front of that draft class with Penny Sewell from Oregon. Obviously the Jenkins dude, I know the arms are an issue, but I don't think he allowed a sack while he was a starter at Oklahoma State. So that's something to be said. I think he projects as a left tackle. But again, third and a fifth rounder, James from Nebraska and Walker Little from Stanford. I think you can double down on that position. It needs an overhaul. Leno is not staying here forever. I don't think he's, quite frankly, he's past his prime, I think. So you can get a starter this year, and you can develop kind of like you would with a quarterback. Hopefully, a starter in the next year, and have your 2 bookends by next year with some veteran help.
I like it, and I think that we really need to get this figured out so that whatever happens next year will be good for the franchise. So let's talk about some opposing positions. We got on here Rashad Bateman from Minnesota, and we also have I don't know what his first name is, but Farley from Virginia. Caleb Farley from Virginia Tech. And I think both of these guys could be a solid pick. Obviously, if we get Bateman, him to go with Mooney and Robinson, that would be a pretty solid group of receivers. Throw in Marquise Goodwin, who we recently acquired. And then with Kyle Fuller being gone, we're going to need some help at cornerback, especially in a division with Aaron Rodgers. So
Jared Goff, you better say his name.
Oh, you want to say Jared Goff or maybe Kirk Cousins? Kirk Cousins too.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. I don't really know much about Caleb. I think he sat out this past year. I think he sat out this past season. Rashad Bateman. That's who I hope he follows us in the first round, and it might be an unpopular pick, but I think with questions about Allen Robinson's future and with Anthony Miller possibly being shipped, I think it's probably time we get some playmakers with his pedigree and his level of talent and work ethic. And I think if you bring Bateman in, you're basically having a younger, and I'm going to say this, respectfully, more explosive Allen Robinson. So I hope we get Bateman. There's a couple other guys that we'll talk about that I like from the receiver position. I think this receiver position's stacked, man. I think it's another good class for some receivers.
For sure.
Darnold Mooney still is puzzling. I didn't see him playing anywhere near the level that he did this past year.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
I'm just nervous. I don't know Farley very well. I don't know any other cornerbacks very well. There's a guy from Northwestern who some people have been high on, and he'd be a local Chicago kid. So do you go and get one of these cornerbacks? Maybe we pick those up later on in the draft, and I think you had more to talk about that with your mock. But we gotta have somebody, because otherwise it's going to be Duke Shelley, and I shouldn't forget about Jalen Johnson. He had a pretty solid year last year until he got hurt. But he is our one. But if we can get somebody to step up, and maybe it's Duke Shelley, but I don't know if that's him or not. It's going to be really big in us stopping anyone.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, we got gas in the slot last year. We got absolutely gas in the slot in the air game. And I mean, teams really didn't run, with the exception of a few games where teams kind of ground and pound us. I would say majority of the time we got beat was through the air. So, I mean, just looking at that, there hasn't been that much that's changed of our personnel defensively. But, in my mock here, I got kind of a couple late rounders. Again, Pace has done well in the latter rounds with defensive talent. So my mock's going to stick to that. I'm hoping he can at least find another starter or two from the fourth round on. At least one starter from the fourth round on we're going to need this year. A couple other nice guys that I like. J.C. Horn out of South Carolina. Dude's physical. He's going to go super early. Tylan Wallace at Oklahoma State. I'm a Poke fan, so I've watched him now, and he was one of the most productive receivers in the country. Garrett Wallow, middle linebacker from TCU. I had forgotten about that Christian Jones acquisition. Man, I don't have a lot of confidence in Danny Trevathan anymore. You know that. I mean, I do think there was a time and a place he was a very, very good middle linebacker, but I think those days are over. And then again, Paulson Adobo, cornerback from Stanford, 6'1", physical, got some good ball skills. There's certainly different ways they can do it. Again, it just depends on what happens with those quarterbacks up at the top. Do any of them trickle down, and does that affect who we go with round one? Because I know for certain Kellen Mond will not go in the first round. So if that's who we're targeting, then you can go best player available between tackle, receiver, corner, maybe even a safety. I mean, you have some options there to go best player available, and then again, go ahead and address the quarterback position, and then solidify some other spots. So, I wonder how much truth to this Justin Fields thing is really true. You just never really know how it's going to shake out until Roger Goodell's out there hugging people. So.
Let's get into some predictions. So, man, they're already out there. So now the whole world knows who the Bears are picking. But
copyrights.
Yeah, we're going to have to clarify a little bit of these picks. But just so our viewers are clear, because, everybody out there is a diehard Bears fan and wants to really know these things. But the Bears are picking at 20, 52, 84, 165, 205, 209, 222, and 229. So as we can see here, no fourth rounder, and fourth, sixth rounder. So we've both talked a lot, and we've decided that the Bears need to trade away some of these sixths and get something better in the earlier rounds. So do you think we're going to trade up at any point? Do we trade back? Let's start with that. Do we trade back in the first round?
Possibly. Yeah, possibly. I think Ryan Pace has traded up in every draft he's ever been a part of. So I would imagine that that's going to continue. I think he's going to stay true to being aggressive, and if he thinks that there's someone, I think with him again with his uncertain future, I think he's going to go after it. Why not? He's got nothing to lose. I mean, other than potentially taking another pick, but if it's only been 1 year and you lose your job, I mean, it really isn't that risky, So,
Yeah.
I can certainly see him making some trades. As Bears Nation, we would probably, like we talked about, you're not going to lose Andy Dalton because you just signed him, but I think a lot of Bears Nation probably wouldn't mind if we were able to get a quarterback in the first or second, third-ish round to potentially battle Andy Dalton and see what happens and see if maybe that'll turn that development up a little bit and at least help us be maybe a little bit more competitive instead of that 8-8. So, yeah, I could definitely see it. He's definitely going to trade up. I'll tell you that right now. Trading back, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, you have 4 6-round picks, so why would you not use those and package them? Like, let's just say if he wants to move up in the second, let's say he wants to move up in the fifth, or the third, then you package some of those, together. I think Anthony Miller's on the board to be traded. I think Nick Foles could be traded. I think there's probably 4 or 5 guys that they've already looked at and said, hey, if we want to sprinkle something on top to go up and get someone, here's the guys that I think we can do, contractually and just from a personnel standpoint, let's make it happen. So, Bears fans expect to trade up. It's going to happen at some point. He will trade up in one of the rounds. Maybe he'll trade up in more than one round. I think last year he did. He traded up a few times, didn't he?
Yeah. I don't exactly remember when, but my thinking is that he's going to do whatever he can to get Fields or one of these top quarterbacks. We haven't even talked about Trey Lance.
Nothing to talk about.
Yeah. But anyway, I think he's going to try to trade up, and I think I'm afraid that he's going to throw up some 2022 picks. Who knows, a first or a second.
I don't think. You really think so? You really think he's going to do that?
Well, I was reading some Bleacher Reports, so this information's come from there. Some studying, some research, but they were talking about the Bears and the Patriots both are potentially talking to all teams 7 through 10 about a potential trade. But I mean, there's a lot of talk going on right now, so we won't really know what's going to happen. But if we have a chance to get Fields, if he falls, there's no way I don't think he's falling to 20. Like, I just don't think that happens. Somebody's going to trade back into the first round. Like, even if it's a team who didn't initially pick Fields, they're going to trade back in and pick him before number 20. So if we don't get past 20, we're not getting Fields, is my thinking. One thing about Bateman that you've mentioned, you like him, is that apparently the Packers are really high on Bateman as well. So that could be one of those picks where if we don't end up getting him or if he falls to the Packers, he's a guy who's going to be beating us like twice a year probably. So, yeah, I don't know. I really hope that Nick Foles is not a member of the Bears after this weekend. And, like, I have nothing against the guy. I just don't think – well, obviously, we already have Andy Dalton. We don't need Nick Foles as well. They're too much alike in too many ways. 4 6-round picks, that's just ridiculous. You're not going to find as much value. So let's trade a couple of those, Foles and Anthony Miller with that. Let's try to get into the 5th and 4th round. Maybe. I don't know where we could get with that, but I want to see some more high-profile players on this team going forward.
Yeah. So, yeah, you're not getting more than I think a 4th back for Anthony plus another pick. You're not getting more than at least a 4th or 5th for Nick, probably more in the 6th range. Even like Akeem Hicks, I don't think you're getting more than a 4th. So if those are just some possible trade chips, again, it's not like you have that much value there. We're going to get a 1st, 2nd, or probably 3rd. So more of a middle round acquisition or swing up let's say there's another guy in the fourth round. He's been really active in the fourth and fifth round historically in his time as GM. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, there's pieces there to move. Moving into my prediction, I have Foles going. Foles in a sixth round pick. He's going over to Detroit. Okay, because Jared Goff gets hurt a lot. Jared Goff's finger hurts, and so Nick Foles is going over there. Nick Foles is probably going to take over and beat Jared Goff, and then they're really going to look like idiots. But so we're going to get a fourth back from him, or a fourth back from Detroit, and then we're also going to make a trade because it's Ryan Pace, 2 sixes for a fifth, and because Cleveland's got like 9 picks, they're going to trade us their fifth round pick for 2 sixes because they love Baker Mayfield and he's dangerous, and they're going to make a dangerous decision and accept that trade. So now we have 1 6th round pick, 2 5s, a 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So we're playing Madden here. Like I said, I like Rashad Bateman. I think he automatically helps us become a better offense, kind of like Justin Jefferson did for Minnesota last year. I like Kellen Mond. I think he doesn't have to start right away. He doesn't even have to play next year, honestly, or this year. But as long as we have him to potentially develop with the next coach or Nagy somehow, if he keeps his job, get Walker Little, and then you get my man Tutu Alawale from Louisville. He's a burner. I mean, he's a. Is there another Tyreek Hill running around? No, but we're going to put him in that class because he's got that player profile of smaller build, but speed, pretty good hands, game-changing ability. And again, I know Matt Nagy's probably tried to clone that offense since he's been here. Brenda James, again, is another tackle. So you got 2 tackles you can play with here. And then we're going back to the defensive side of the ball. Bryce Thompson. I believe that Jalen Johnson can be your 1. Desmond Trufant can be a average 2. And then you got Bryce Thompson that can either switch from the nickel or he can potentially slide over and compete with Desmond Trufant along with Duke Shelley. And then my 6th round pick is Bobby Brown III, a.k.a. BB3, as you coined him. BB3. He's from A&M. He's a pretty nasty D tackle, honestly. Don't know if there's any relation to the Bobby Brown, but either way, I think that's another guy. I think he could be this year's Bilal Nichols. So we're going defensive late. We're really stacking and finding our quarterback of the future in the 2nd round, and again continuing to solidify the line and add weapons to our offense, which we desperately need.
Yeah, I like it. If we could get Bateman and Mond, that alone will help out a lot. But then throwing those tackles, and then your speed guy, and what is it, Awale?
Tutu Awale. Are you kidding me? How fun would that be?
Tutu
up the seam for 6. Kidding me?
you got him and you got Mooney, and then Robinson just running across, but also Bateman. I mean, that'd be a lethal offense if we have anybody to throw them the ball. So hopefully it's Mond. But I don't know, like back to Dalton. I also remember those years where the Bengals made the playoffs like 4 years in a row. I know they didn't win a game in the playoffs, but they made it like 4 years in a row, and AJ Green was just lighting up the scoreboard. And those were some fun years for the Bengals, and that was a lot of that was Andy Dalton just doing Dalton things.
Yeah, I mean their defense was pretty stout too, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
they had a pretty good defense.
They had like guys breaking guys' legs.
He's not terrible. Like I mean, if I could go back, would I rather have had him than Nick Foles? Probably, 2 years ago. But
yeah,
again, I just he's going to do a good enough job, that it's not going to be awful. But again, I do think what's going to happen if the play doesn't go to scheme. What's going to happen? I mean, it's not going to be pretty. He's not running for first downs. He's not super improvise. He's not going to improvise all that well. So, I mean, we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see what the Bears bring in because, again, you never know. You never know how things are going to shake out. Look at the Dak and Tony Romo situation,
Yeah, for sure. So,
look at the Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre situation,
Yeah.
A-Rod's gone in a couple of years, so NFC North could look different, with now Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins probably on his way out shortly, and so is A-Rod. It could be different. So let's start planning for the future now. This could be our division for for 5, 6, 7 years down the road, if we start preparing for it now, it could be ours in a couple years.
I like that kind of thinking, and then Jordan Love becomes the next Aaron Rodgers.
That's a whole other discussion.
There's just something about how the Packers have quarterbacks and we don't. It's just the most insane thing I've ever experienced.
It's just time, though. But, I mean, just between Favre and A-Rod, I mean, the last, 20 years, 25 years?
Entire life, basically.
That's, yeah. No way they can get a third shift in there. No way.
Yeah.
So.
Man, I am excited. It's going to be a fun time. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the video, new to the channel. We like to talk about the Bears, and sometimes we talk forever, but it's all good fun, and hopefully.
Hey, make sure you drop a couple comments down there, guys, about who you like in the draft, and also, as the draft's happening, man, please let us know how you feel about it. Little video, little couple comments. Make sure you keep it classy. All right, keep it classy. We're two teachers here now, but we want to hear from you guys, Bear Nation, and we definitely want to interact with you a little bit as the draft's happening, and hopefully, if you get enough time to send us a mock, we would love it. We'd love to look at it. So appreciate you, Bear Nation. I'm excited. I would assume we only got one pick tomorrow. I don't think anything gets crazy here. We probably got one pick. Got to capitalize on it. I'm hoping we're feeling good coming out of Thursday, getting into Friday.
Yeah, that's the dream situation. So, Rashad Bateman, that's your pick. The pick is in.
What is your pick? Can I get your? If you had to.
I mean, since I'm going to be at the draft and presenting the Bears' first pick, I cannot tell what the pick is. No. I'm thinking that we're going to trade back a couple picks to get another second rounder, and then we're going to go with Kellen Mond in the first round.
Okay, so we're not even drafting draft night. We're trading out like Belichick.
No. We're going to trade in the first round, but we're going to trade back a couple picks, which there's only 11 teams trading or 12 teams after us, but I think maybe we go to like number 27, maybe we get Kellen Mond there, and then we get a pick from that team to use in the second round. So we'll get two second rounders. That would be what I would hope for. I would like to get a good guy in the first round, but also get another pick in like the second or third round. And I think that would be really valuable for us to do, because I don't like that we only have a first, a second, and a third, and then it gets a lot of later picks. That worries me a little bit. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
you heard it here, Bears Nation. Yep. We are trading back. I like that we both agree on Kellen Mond, though.
Yeah. Who knows? Well, I think he makes sense. He's the best of who will be available if we have a chance to get a quarterback. The other guys are going to be gone. So.
Yeah.
Hey, that's going to have to do it for this show. We're probably going on like 50 minutes here. So.
Yep. We miss you so much. We're going to give you that much content.
Yeah. It's for the fans. So. All right, don't forget to subscribe to Turn Up, Bear Down, and we'll see you next time, hopefully with a little bit of a celebration that we had a good draft. So, see you guys later. Bye.